So you are saying that the flood in Texas, according to some data that you have, was artificially engineered. Is that what you're saying?
There's nothing natural about that event. Nothing. When we see the frequency transmission interaction, holding that storm moisture in place, allowing it, forcing it to precipitate out in one location, there's nothing natural about that. These are patented processes. It's not theory. It's not conjecture. It's not hypothesis.
Now, I want to talk about what happened in Texas. There was that huge flood. It wiped out that camp and lots of people. So here, plot thickens. Rainmaker confirmed it flew a 20. So there's a company called Rainmaker, I guess. And it confirmed it flew a 20-minute cloud seeding mission on July 2nd over Karnes County, located southeast of the Texas flood zone. Texas cloud seeding CEO, funded by Peter Thiel, connected to Palantir. No way. Meet Augustus Dorico. He's a 25-year-old tech bro. 25-year-old. First of all, never trust a guy who's 25 named Augustus. That's my first rule of thumb.
Or 25. If you're a government agency or a girl, don't trust a guy that's 25 or younger is my advice.
And so he's a Thiel fellow, Peter Thiel fellow, who founded the weather modification startup called Rainmaker. Yeah. According to publicly available info, Dorico's company was reportedly cloud seeding over parts of Texas just 2 days before the historic flood hit those same regions. He received $100,000 through Peter Thiel's fellowship, the same Thiel who co-founded Palantir, the surveillance and defense tech giant tracking everything from troop movements to civilian behavior. Let that sink in. And as we all know, Palantir is very important because they are the secret police organization which protects trillionaire pedophiles from the rest of humanity. And without them, humanity wouldn't have any real problems, and we can't have that. So why is Palantir connected? Why is a Palantir-connected billionaire funding private weather experiments in Texas? Why is a 25-year-old with no public oversight allowed to modify the sky? They called it stewarding the natural world. Texas got biblical flooding instead. This isn't a theory. It's documented, privately funded, and totally unregulated. No vote, no consent, no accountability, just Thiel money, weather manipulation, and a flooded state left asking questions. And even Grok knows the truth. Grok, yes. Yeah. Augustus Dorico founded Rainmaker, funded by Peter Thiel. They seeded clouds in Texas on July 2nd, 2 days before the deadly. He also claims he seeded clouds. Okay, so just to let you know.
Also, it's a 25-year-old young boy. Why would he be in a fellowship with Peter Thiel? I wonder. I wonder why Peter Thiel takes interest in these really young fellas and gives them stuff. Like how Mel Gibson would give his mistress a recording studio. He gives these kids dominion over the earth.
And just, you conspiracy nuts, not everything evil is connected to Peter Thiel and Palantir, just 97% of everything. So Rainmaker CEO, this is from Dallas Express, Rainmaker CEO, he's 25, to speak publicly amid cloud seeding scrutiny over Texas floods. And here he is. So he was asked directly if his cloud seeding had anything to do with the flood. I wonder what he's going to say. Let's listen.
The question is whether or not Rainmaker, cloud seeding on July 2nd, contributed to storms that occurred on July 4th. Did it enhance? Did it intensify what we saw some 36 to 48 hours later?
Unequivocally, our cloud seeding operations on July 2nd did not impact the flooding that occurred later. And that said, my heart and prayers are still with all the people of Texas and all the families that have been affected. It was a tragedy. But in cloud seeding on the 2nd, one, we are regulated by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, and we have what are called suspension criteria, where if there are National Weather Service flash flood warnings or severe storm warnings, then we cannot operate in those areas per the restrictions and regulations we have. Our meteorologists actually proactively suspended operations a day before the National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning. So we were ahead of the curve.
So I have two things I want to say before I throw it to you, Dane. The first thing is, nothing says smart like a mullet. Am I right? Come on.
Yeah, well, I mean, Palmer Luckey has the same thing. The jerk off with the drones. Remember all the drones?
Yeah.
That's Palmer Luckey, another Peter Thiel pal with a weird Lord of the Rings fellowship name, right?
This
guy's dressed like Peter Thiel's pool boy, isn't he?
He's like a tech genius for dumb guys. That's what this guy. And
they're smart. They're just Twinkies.
And the numbers. The second thing I want to say. So, the guy being accused of a crime is being asked if he committed the crime and if the crime had any negative effect. That's like asking your dog who shit on the carpet. Am I kidding? You're never going to hear from the dog, and you're too stupid to read the reason. You can't ask this guy that, but they did. So there he is. Dane, now you are the premier expert on all of this. Why is a private company allowed to do cloud seeding, A? And B, he seems like guilty. What do you say to all this?
He's playing the part of a red herring in this equation. There's no question, scientifically speaking, whatever he did or didn't do, whatever his planes did or didn't do, it was not what caused what happened in Texas. And to further back that up, aside from the time gap between whatever he did and the meager amount of material that their aircraft would have dropped, perhaps 5 to 10 pounds at most, what kept that moisture, this is critically important, what kept that moisture precipitating in one spot was frequency transmission manipulation from the NEXRAD transmitter network. We recorded it. We recorded the same thing with Hurricane Harvey. Again, that's how they knew Harvey would end up where it did 7 days in advance and stay there for 3 days and dump 50 inches of rain, because the frequency transmissions, they have a repelling effect against the air mass and the moisture accumulation. And when you activate those transmissions all around that moisture accumulation, you hold it stationary and it precipitates out in one spot. And that's exactly what happened in Texas. And that definitely has nothing to do with whatever he did, but he's playing the part of mass distraction. Maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the involvement with Thiel. Again, that is definitely what he has done in a big way, showing up in every major media, everything, taking the focus off of the elephant in the equation, climate intervention operations.
So he's like the Oswald.
Yep. Thank you.
So it's like what Oswald was to the JFK shooting. That's what this guy is to this cloud seeding and geoengineering. And you say, so you are saying that the flood in Texas, according to some data that you have, was artificially engineered. Is that what you're saying?
There's nothing natural about that event. Nothing. When we see the frequency transmission interaction, holding that store moisture in place, forcing it to precipitate out in one location, there's nothing natural about that. These are patented processes. It's not theory. It's not conjecture. It's not hypothesis. Nothing natural about that event. And let's look at Hurricane Helene. We recorded that as well. That's a very damning recording. In real time, we recorded those transmissions, the NEXRAD network, steering that storm where it ended up and holding it there to precipitate everything out. And we're dealing with those legislators too, Jimmy and Kurt, in the Carolinas. One particularly honorable individual there, Representative Lee Gelreith, is so on board with fighting this issue that he's paying for billboards to expose this issue out of his own pocket. He made a very powerful statement in a 2-minute video, which we have posted on our site. He's former military, stating these programs hold our future in the balance. We have to stop them or we're done. On film, on the record. So we do have some very honorable representatives out there. Lee Gelreith is one.
And so what? So tell me, what kind of instrument do you have that, and what is it measuring? And that's how you know that they're keeping this weather system in place to dump. It's
not our instrument. It's an actual data loop for the NEXRAD network that we still have access to, which I am frankly surprised. I hope it doesn't now go away that I'm talking about it, but it's almost as if this cabal wants to leave a trail of breadcrumbs so that they feel justified about doing whatever they want because the public was told. But we have access to the actual data loops for that network that show the energizing of those facilities and they're interacting with the storm. So again, we have hard data. There's no blank spots here.
Yeah,
None.
well, you're not going to look. I mean, not you, but like it's like the iTunes agreement. These people are very legalistic. It's always like a lawyer going into this office that doesn't do law, but they learn how to worm around the law because that's the job basically, to do this evil crap. So that is the thing. Exactly what you said. They go, oh, well, you were warned. It's like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where they're going to pave over the earth because you didn't go to the notice board that we're paving over the earth. That's not our fault. That's the mentality, and it's legalistic. I don't know. I don't understand why exactly. It has to do with the cult, but it is like that.
I would, if your followers search geoengineeringwatch.org hurricanes, look at Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Ian, Hurricane Helene. I mean, what we've captured in real time as it happened is inarguable. Like with Harvey, for example, you can see the energizing of the transmission facilities. You can see how that holds the storm in place. It doesn't migrate past that. It doesn't break up. That's what happened in Texas, just precipitated out of one spot. So again, these are very sophisticated networks, nothing to do with the 25-year-old mullet man and his rainmaking company. Bottom line is this is top-tier defense industry materials.
Oh, also, here's another great thing with leaving the trail out for you to pick up. They can find out who can pick up the trail. It's like dyeing the water to see the source of potential problems.
Yeah, they can, but there's no place to hide. You know, again, they could do anything to you, me, any of us, anytime they want. And I would argue that there's hiding in our cabins on the Titanic won't save us. We all need to be on deck doing our best to sound the alarm. So I'm grateful to you two both for that.
So, this thing. So what is the name of the you say it very fast. What is the name of the network thing that you can get the data from? What is that called?
NEXRAD.
NEXRAD.
Exactly as it sounds. NEXRAD. And they will claim, just as they do with the HARP facility, just benign radar, nothing to see here. Yeah, sure, we're using 750,000 watts of power, but never mind that. This is just harmless radar. It's mind-numbing the way they try to skirt over.
Harmless radar? A microwave oven is a radar they put in a box.
Yes.
The guy that discovered that melted a candy bar cooked in his pocket by the radar dish, and that's how you learn it's a direct energy weapon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. And about the IQs dropping, just so we fill in that blank, because we all are getting dumber by the day. And how do you know when you're getting dumber by the day? IQs have dropped, according to peer-reviewed published study now in the U.S. in the last generation, 6 to 9 points. That's big. 6 to 9 point IQ drop across the board in the U.S. last generation.
So, and I've been turning gayer myself as well. I don't know if that has.
Those microplastics, Kurt, they're supposed to have that effect. We all have those in us now too.
I thought the vaccine made me.
By the way, here's another point. Okay, we all on the microplastics that are showing up in everyone. We have peer-reviewed study to back that up. Tremendous amounts, especially in the brain, all other organs as well. We know plastic is decomposing in the environment, yes, but we know polymer fibers are a key component in climate engineering. So the scientists we work with at Rensselaer Polytechnic in New York and the samples we gathered at altitude from a NOAA flying lab and a private jet platform, we found particles that they identified. They're the top people in the world as manufactured particles. That's not simple decomposition. That's climate engineering, and this is showing up in all of us. We're talking about 40 to 60 million tons a year. That's a lot. So again, if we can't breathe without sucking this stuff up, is that not an immediate fight for life?
Yeah, my friend Nathan Reynolds said people that are worried about transhumanism. Well, I hate to tell you, most of us aren't actually like the original humans anymore, just based on the crap they've put in us over the years, over generations. So if you want to get real technical about it.
So Dane, let me ask you really quickly. You have another guest that's waiting. I have two questions for you. Do you think so there seems to obviously be there's a bunch of billionaires who fly around the world on private jets. Remember, one private jet plane burns more carbon than my car does in my lifetime. They all have these 400, 500 yachts that are bigger than football fields, some of them twice as big, yachts that are so big they come with support yachts. That's a real thing. That's a real thing. And those are the people who are screaming about climate change, and they want us living in storage containers, living in 15-minute cities, eating the bugs that hit us on the face. So these people obviously have a agenda to make everybody afraid of climate change so that they can control them. That's obvious that that's what's happening. Now, whether you believe climate change, carbon-based climate change is real or not, it certainly has created a greening of the planet. There's more plants. You need carbon.
Who would have thought that trees breathe carbon dioxide, Jimmy? It was a fact I learned in school, yet somehow forgot for 20 straight years.
Isn't that something?
And if someone said it to me, I'd go, shut up, idiot.
So do you think that here's just a theory that these weather modification events, like you keep mentioning those hurricanes, what just happened in Texas, do you think it's to make people more afraid of climate change so they can institute their plans to control us through climate change legislation and climate change rules? What do you think to that, Dane?
I think there's much more to it. And that, again, when we saw, for example, the blizzards, you guys remember that in New Orleans this winter, blizzard in New Orleans, blizzard in Florida, blizzard on the Gulf Coast. What weren't we told at the same time in the polar regions, January 21st, interesting date for those blizzards, by the way, it was above freezing and raining in the polar regions, Alaska, Greenland, Iceland, Siberia. So we have a psychological aspect that as these programs do more damage, that convinces people that the damage really isn't done. If it's snowing in New Orleans, how could there possibly be damage to the planet, right? That's one aspect. Two, if we look at, for example, Hurricane Helene and the lithium mines there that the public was not willing to vacate, they certainly likely are now. Was that connected? Was that another layer to this equation? There are likely many layers. Let's look at Dubai. You guys may remember that Dubai got hit with 2 years worth of rain in 6 hours. And that coincidentally, it happened about 4 days after they said they were going to ditch the dollar. So again, is this a shot across the bow of any country that doesn't toe the line? They're wiped out with some sort of cataclysm, or populations that won't move off the patch of dirt that contains the lithium. Interestingly enough, many people don't know this, but Iran has discovered the second largest lithium deposit, they believe, globally. Yeah. That's interesting. How does that fit into the equation of them recently receiving what they got? So again, there's so much more to these equations, and with the weather warfare, covert way of clearing the land, or in the case of Lahaina, for example, Pacific Palisades, lots of variables here, Jimmy, lots of agendas, lots of objectives. But on the current course, if they continue to do this kind of damage, nobody's going to be here for long, and that includes them.
Okay, Dane, one more thing. I hate to keep bothering, but is there anything people can do? So they have these nanoparticles of aluminum, which is toxic, right? Everybody knows aluminum's toxic. They're finally taking RFK is getting it out of vaccines. Is there anything we can do to kind of help our body leach that and get rid of it naturally?
Yes, chelation is imperative. And let's make the equation, forgive me, a bit darker still. We all have aluminum in us now. We all have mercury in us now from various sources, amalgam fillings, coal-fired power plants, vaccines. So when you combine those two already highly toxic metals, you have synergistic toxicity, which means the overall toxicity can go up, in the case of those two metals, as much as 10,000%, 100 times worse. It's a wonder any of us are walking and talking at this point. Chelation is essential, must be done carefully. If you chelate too quickly and too aggressively, you can do more harm than good, but it's essential to do every day to keep these metals operating through our systems and purging out of our systems. Essential. Chelation.
What is chelation?
Various supplements and elements can free up these metals because they tend to adhere to cell receptors like a plaque. If you can free them up, and with the right chelation, migrate them out of your system, not just free them up so they can migrate somewhere else and readhere. Again, chelation is something that needs to be taken seriously with proper guidance, but it is essential. And even simple elements like vitamin C and calcium, those are both chelators. If your body doesn't have enough calcium, it tends to substitute aluminum in its stead. That's definitely not what we want. So again, talking to a nutritionalist, there's supplements that are good for you anyway that help you chelate these metals out of your system. That's essential while we're fighting this battle.
Is there any place on the web where people can go to read about what kind of chelation they should be doing?
Certainly. Heavy metal chelation is a big subject. There's many different approaches and strategies with that. It needs to be an individual approach depending on your own physiology. But it is absolutely imperative. If you want to keep firing on all neurons for as long as possible, that is absolutely imperative. You need to keep the buildup from happening.
Okay. All right, Dane Wigington, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for your expertise. Thanks for your courage and telling the truth about all this. It affects everybody. I appreciate it. Everybody should check out geoengineeringwatch.org, geoengineeringwatch.org. And you should also watch the documentary The Dimming, which is available on YouTube, amazingly. And it has over 26 million views as of right now. So go check that out. Dane Wigington, thank you very much for coming on again. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks to you. Thanks to Kurt. Thanks for your attention to the skies. And thanks for the best laughs I've had for a long time, guys. Very grateful.
Okay. You're welcome. Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Toronto, Red Bank, New Jersey, Northampton, Massachusetts, Concord, New Hampshire, Oxnard, California, Rutherford, New Jersey, New York, Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.